Hey guys, before this video starts, I just wanted to say thank you guys so much. I've been watching the Secure Empire video on the other channel just go up in views every day, and it means so much to me. It might be nothing for most people, only seeing a couple of hundred views, but for me, I think that's just awesome. Well, let's get this started then. So you're thinking about picking up the Iron Blood as your faction of choice. Well, let me be the first person to welcome you to the faction of clearly superior German engineering. In this video, we're going to be talking about them and just kind of what makes them really them. Just a general overview of the faction itself. First off, let's go over some of the positives of the Ironblood faction. They have some extremely solid ships between Friedrich and all the way down to cute but still really strong Graf V. Now, unlike the abundance of CVs that the Secure Empire and the Egan Union have, for Iron Blood we only get 3 at the moment, which is Graf Zeppelin, Peter Strasser, and Zeppi. Now, Graf and Peter are very, very strong CVs, however, and you pair them with Bismarck, and it really puts them in a good spot. Moving on to something a bit more fun than just talking about power, they have some absolutely adorable girls. Graf B, Z23, Z46, Leipzig, and the list really goes on with them. And in case anyone actually cared, Prince Eugen and Graf Zeppelin. My favorite, hands down. There's not much competition with that. Back to the power, let's talk about the Vanguard for a second here. So the Vanguard for the Iron Blood is honestly something else for sure. You have the biggest HP tank around, Prince Eugen. You have the best boss killer, which is Rune. You have really solid damage dealers between ships like Prince Heinrich and mines, and firepower destroyers like Z23. Now, the backline for the faction is still, once again, relatively interesting. So you have Bismarck, who is a extremely solid faction buffer ship, and it's a solid ship on her own. You have Friedrich, who's just the best battleship in the game, being that decisive to a rarity. And you have ships like Odin, who just has insane secondary gun range. And then recently, with the last event, you have a really strong CV combo between Graf and Peter. Something to note, by the way, while I'm talking about how strong they are in the front line and in the back line, their anti-air is pretty abysmal. You can look at really any of their ships, and you're not going to find a good AA stat, except for maybe on 2 of them. Now, moving on to point 3 for this, Bismarck is an event ship that is unobtainable at the moment. We're not too sure when her War Archives event is going to come out. Peter Strasser and Prince Heinrich just had their event here recently, so it's going to be a while before they get reran. Rune, Friedrich, Odin, and Mines are all PR ships they're gonna take you some time to grind for and get those blueprints. However, some ships like Graf Zeppelin and Tirpitz were added to their respective build pools a while ago, and you can pull for them. Now, unlike the Secure Empire, like I mentioned in my last video, you don't really have a map to farm for ships with the Iron Blood. You're not going to find an SR from a drop. You're just not. There's no map in the campaign that has a high rated ship for the Iron Blood, only the lower rarities. So, I mean, count yourself lucky, with this faction at least. Now, as I said in that really terrible video, it is a bit hard for me to recommend the faction to newer players or people just starting the game. You have so many ships locked off behind PR walls, 4 of them behind PR walls. Bismarck is a core part of this, and she hasn't been out in a long time at this point. So it's just really hard to say, hey, yeah, take Z23, get Scharnhorst Gneiss now, just go for it. Yeah, I guess it can work, but you're much better off just going after one of the other 3 factions, Secure Empire, Royal Navy, or Eagle Union, getting their ships, which you can get pretty easily, I would argue, and push that. And then if you happen to get some of the stronger Iron Blood ships, then you could kind of go that route. But for me, I got Bismarck like a week or 2 after I started the game. So it made that natural progression into the Iron Blood faction a lot easier for me compared to it would be a new player. That will be it for this video. I just want to say thank you guys again for watching if you made it this far. And y'all have a good night, good morning, be safe wherever you are. And I'll see you next time.